All right, we're recording, Juice.
All right.
What do you think of that?
That's amazing.
And we're normally recording on Monday, but you know what today is?
Friday.
Friday. All right, a little different
Yeah.
format going in the afternoon today, Friday afternoon. We had some things come up this week we had to deal with. But here we are with another episode of the Hidden Threads podcast. All right, Juice, what you got lined up for the weekend?
Nothing.
What about with the dog?
Oh, well, hanging with my dog, yeah.
Tell us about this dog, Juice.
My dog?
Yeah.
He's half pit bull, half American bulldog.
Really?
Yeah, and I've heard him kind of sort of bark 4 times at 4 years.
He's got some health issues, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's blind and he can't hear.
So he took after you? Did you take after him? Which one is it?
No, he takes after me.
Okay. All right. So today, you discussed it a little bit because we got some cases involving both of these.
Yes,
All
we
right.
do.
The first one we're getting into is Edwards versus Arizona, because a big question that comes up is, okay, so say I invoked my right to an attorney, all right? But then after I do that, I say some things to the cops, all right? Is it admissible or not?
No.
All right. I'm going to read the actual Supreme Court case from 1981. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Edwards versus Arizona, 451 U.S. 477 in 1981 is a decision by the United States Supreme Court holding that once a defendant invokes his Fifth Amendment right to counsel, police must cease custodial interrogation. Reinterrogation is only permissible once the defendant's counsel has been made available to him or he himself initiates further communication, exchanges, or conversations with the police. Statements obtained in violation of this rule are a violation of the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. This bright line rule has been praised by legal scholars, with some scholars stating it was a mistake to move from the standard of that of David versus United States. I'm not getting into that one too deep, but it stipulates that the right to counsel can only be legally asserted by an ambiguous or unequivocal request for counsel. Okay. Now, it says in there, though, Juice, so say you got me arrested.
Right.
And we're engaging at the police station, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you're questioning me.
Right.
In the car. It could be anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You've already said, hey, Macky, here's your Miranda warning. And I say, I want a lawyer. But you continue on questioning, or we're just talking.
Okay. Personally, me, I wouldn't have continued questioning you any questions about the crime.
It seems to be the standard nowadays, though.
Yes, it does. And it's sickening.
You think it is?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So whenever we have a young lady and she's sitting there across from the police and she says, I want a lawyer, and they say, hey, we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Is that problematic?
It's a very serious problem.
Because we have that one going on right now.
Yes, we do.
And we got 2 people sitting in jail because of that.
Exactly.
Statements made after that. All right. Now the young lady did keep talking. We'll say that. But I think there was 5 times where she said, I want a lawyer.
I'll give her, she kept talking, but she had already asked for an attorney just a few minutes into the interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even say it's an interview because it was an interrogation.
Right.
And they continued.
At one point he said, we'll get to that later.
Right.
All right.
He should have stopped all questioning right then and there. He could have left the room. He could have changed the subject. But once she said, I want an attorney, he had to quit questioning with anything that pertained to the crime that she allegedly performed.
Okay. Now, the actual case where this happened was this Edwards guy. I'm going to read it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Edwards was arrested at his home on charges of robbery, burglary. Say it, Juice.
Burglary.
Ooh. Stealing stuff.
It's Friday.
Breaking in and stealing stuff. And his first degree murder. Big one, right?
Right.
Following his arrest at the police station, he was informed of his Miranda rights. Edwards stated he understood his rights and was willing to submit to questioning. After being told another suspect was arrested in connection with the same crime, Edwards denied involvement and then sought to make a deal. Edwards then proceeded to call a county attorney, and shortly afterwards he said to his interrogator, I want an attorney before making a deal. Immediately, the questioning ceased and Edwards was taken to county jail. The following morning, 2 detectives came to see him, stated they wanted to talk to him. At first, Edwards resisted, but he was told he had to talk to the detectives. Okay. The officers informed him of his Miranda rights and obtained a confession from him. At trial, Edwards sought to suppress his confession. The lower court and the Arizona Supreme Court denied the motion. Okay. And then it went on up to the higher court and got held up, and he got let out.
Yep.
So Okay. There's a contrast to the Sixth Amendment right to counsel. You ever heard that?
Yep.
All right. Under Montejo versus Louisiana, that's in 2009. We got a newer one here.
Uh-huh.
Sixth Amendment's right to counsel does not prevent the police from initiation of interrogation once the right attaches. This is in contrast to the Fifth Amendment right to counsel, where the police custodial interrogation is not permitted as per Edwards. So explain that to me.
So if this is just an instance, maybe you said, "Oh, I don't want to." You didn't say you didn't want an attorney or whatever. They just started talking to you, and you continued with spontaneous utterance.
Mm-hmm.
They can continue the questioning.
Okay.
But my thing is, once you say, "I want an attorney," there should be no questions asked after that.
Right. That overrides the spontaneous utterance. If you say, "I want a lawyer right now."
Right.
Okay. All right. All right. That makes sense to me. So in our case, we're talking about, we had a young lady and she was in jail for something else. And they went up to talk to her about one crime and they started asking her questions. Immediately on this new crime, she said, "I want a lawyer."
Yep.
They told, and the transcript I read, unless somebody is making stuff up, it said, "We'll get to that later," or "We'll get to that in a minute."
That's exactly what was said, yes, in that transcript.
And then she went on to say she didn't say much for a while.
No, she resisted for a while.
Then after she sat there for a little while, she started saying where the body was and some other things. All right. She didn't specify where it was, though.
No, nothing was specified.
All right. Because the location of the body came from an anonymous tip.
Right.
Which nobody knows who that is.
Right.
The tipster.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. And then they proceeded to take what she said and went and arrested somebody else, the person we're working for, arrested them for it. What are your thoughts so far?
So far, I have a big problem with the way that the interrogation was handled.
Right.
She invoked her right to counsel, and they never got her counsel.
Right.
So anything after that, for me, is fruit of the poisonous tree, and they need to go get re-educated on what they can and can't do during an interrogation.
Right.
Because that was terrible police work, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. She never got a lawyer.
Mm-mm.
Not once. She might have a day later or something, but that's when you don't think it was because the two detectives drove up from Alabama, drove 12 hours to get there, right?
Yeah. From here, it takes 14 hours to get to where she was at.
And they said, somebody down here said, "Hey, don't come back without a confession."
Well,
you think that happened?
I think something like that happened, but I think the investigators that were involved ignored the law.
Ignored the law. We're not really talking about which case this is, by the way.
No,
I'm not going to right now on this one. We've talked about it a lot, but so what about if you arrest me on the street? So say you had a warrant, you pulled me over, put me in cuffs and put me in the back of the car. And I said, "Hey, I want a lawyer," when you're, after you read my Miranda on the side of the road. And we're just riding down the road and I start saying things.
Well, first of all, I arrested you. I didn't. You had a warrant out for your arrest.
Mm-hmm.
I just served the warrant. I picked you up when I seen you.
Right.
If I'm not questioning you on anything, and generally when I arrested somebody on a warrant, I wasn't questioning them. I was just following what was in the warrant. Right. So if there's a warrant for your arrest, I just pick you up and say, "Hey, you got a warrant for your arrest, cuff up." And I put you in the car. I'm not questioning you on the crime you allegedly committed. I don't care about the crime you allegedly committed. But if you sit in the back seat of the car, I always had a digital voice recorder running, because if you just started popping off and having spontaneous utterance on your way to the jail, I recorded it.
Okay.
But I would never ask you anything directly related to the case. I don't even have to read you your rights.
Right.
I only have to read you your Miranda rights if I'm going to question you about the crime, the alleged crime.
Right. Now,
I can ask you anything.
Now, if you arrest me, do you have to tell me why you're arresting me?
No, actually, I don't have to tell you why I'm arresting you.
So we had a deal where I helped the cops get this guy that had a warrant over in Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
The lawyer kind of hooked me up with the cops, and they said, "Hey, I know where the guy is."
Right.
And they said, "Well, if you go in and spot him, we'll send a task force over and pick him up." And I watched the whole thing go down. It's not every day you get to see a live cuffing going on, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in the police force or anything like that. They didn't say nothing to the guy.
Nope.
They just put the cuffs on. He was asking them all kinds of questions in English and Spanish. And the cops are just like, I don't care. You're going in the car. So,
I don't have to tell you why I've arrested you.
They're like, the thing they kept saying, we'll deal with it down at the station.
Exactly.
So, but he did he got in a wreck and killed some people while he was drunk, and it was a bad deal.
I guess he found out when they got him down to the jail and booked him in.
Yeah, he did. I'm sure he did. But
me telling you why I'm arresting you is a courtesy. I don't have to tell you why I arrested you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I know everybody watches NYPD Blue and, SVU, and don't follow the stuff it says on TV.
Right.
Because I don't have to tell you why I've arrested you. I don't have to read you your Miranda rights when I arrest you.
Right.
So
you don't. The only time you read Miranda is if we start talking.
If I question you on the specific alleged crime, I could ask you whatever I want, as long as it doesn't directly relate to the crime.
So you could ask me if I'm thirsty.
Yeah, you something to eat.
If I got a head injury, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey,
you want to have a cigarette before you go in?
Right.
All right, I'll let you have a cigarette.
You want to call somebody, whatever.
Yeah.
You can do that, right?
Yeah, and I've done that for people. Hey, you want to call you got somebody you want to call and tell them, go down and get your bail and stuff ready.
Or if you got kids at home or whatever.
Yeah. So I wasn't a complete jerk as a cop.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, sometimes I was.
What's happened since?
I don't know. Marriages and divorces.
Oh Lord, is that what happened?
Yeah.
But I'm nice all the time, Jus.
Yeah.
But all right. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back to another Supreme Court ruling, Gideon versus Wainwright, and Jus's favorite type of lawyer, the public defender.
Pretender.
We'll be back in just a second. Hey everybody, Macky here. I just want to get into what we actually do here at Macky Outlaw Private Investigators. So we conduct domestic investigations, which include your adultery and custody cases. You may have a cheating spouse that you're wanting to find out, or you may have shared custody and you're wanting to find out what the other parents are doing, maybe prove that they're not good parents for a custody modification. Also, what we do is criminal defense investigations. That's where people get in trouble and they need help proving their innocence. It could be either pre-conviction or post-conviction. So if you know people in those situations, just give us a ring. Also, we work missing person cases. That's where we track down people that are missing. It can be children, teenagers, all the way to senior adults. So if you have a case like that, how we work those cases is we use surveillance. We locate and find witnesses and interview them. Also conduct digital forensics where we extract deleted data and locate those digital artifacts to help your case. If you need those types of investigations done, you can always click the link and contact us. You can call us directly at 866-910-7499. That's 866-910-7499. Or visit us on the web at mackyoutlaw.com. Thank y'all. All right, everybody, we're back for the second part here. And the next part gets into public defenders. A lot of people don't know that's a Supreme Court Sixth Amendment thing.
It is.
It comes from Gideon it comes from the Sixth Amendment, but also Gideon versus Wainwright stamped it and made it official, I guess you would say. I'm going to read it. So Gideon versus Wainwright, 372 U.S. 335 in 1963 was a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision in which the court ruled that the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution requires United States, plural, to provide attorneys to criminal defendants who are unable to afford their own. The case extended the right to counsel, which had been further found under the Fifth and Sixth Amendments to impose requirements on the federal government by imposing those requirements upon states as well. Make sure we're doing camera switch reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, we are doing camera switch.
All right.
All right. So this is where your public defender comes from. And Jus calls them public pretenders.
I do.
All right. We've had some issues with these too. If you look at the cases we've gotten where we're talking bare minimum or below for these folks when on their initial trial.
Yeah, you're guaranteed a right to a fair and speedy trial. Mm-hmm. I don't know how fair and speedy it is with some of these public pretenders.
Here's my thoughts on public defenders. Let's call them defenders from now on because some might listen and get their feelings hurt, Jus.
Okay.
So we live out in the country where we don't have a real public defender's office, but all the lawyers around here put their name in a hat, and the Guess who gets to pick them?
Ooh, let me think. The prosecuting attorney's office.
The DA, the district attorney, picks kind of who he wants to be on the case because that's who controls that. And if it don't get any more biased than that, then I don't understand what. Now, if you live in a bigger city, bigger jurisdiction, then you actually have an office full of them. Who do you think their boss is that writes their reviews is?
Mm-hmm.
The district attorney.
Of course.
Right? You might have a head public defender, that's maybe the
figurehead,
the senior guy or girl, right?
Right.
But the DA is the one that controls all that.
Exactly.
You think these lawyers are going to want to make the DA mad? Especially, they usually come into this young when they're right out of law school.
Exactly.
And
they're still carving their path.
Right. You think they're going to want to make some senior lawyer mad?
No.
So they're going to roll over and play dead most of the times, what I've seen.
Yep.
Just go ahead and plead out for this crime you didn't commit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put much effort into this because I'm making $43,000 a year.
No, don't get me wrong. There's been some cases that the guy's or girl is legitimately guilty and there's not much they can do.
Right.
But they should still put forth the effort.
Even guilty, you're required. Your oath as a lawyer says you've got to be diligent in your job.
Correct.
Right. And what I've seen is the word diligent. Is the word diligent got a broad term to it? A broad definition?
Normally you would think it doesn't, but here in Podunk, it does.
Podunk, Alabama?
Yeah.
I've seen it happen in large cities too, so don't get me wrong. Let me see here. I'm looking up the definition of diligent. Having or showing care and conscientiousness. Man, that's worse than burglary.
Yeah.
No. Stealing stuff.
Burglary.
Breaking into a place and stealing stuff. Conscientiousness in one's work or duties. Many caves are located only after a diligent search. So what they're saying in their sample there, if you just walked up in this area, that you wouldn't have seen any caves, but you had to do a diligent search.
Right.
We do diligent searches.
We do.
Basically, I define it as turning over every stone. You think public defenders turn over every stone?
Well, absolutely not.
Okay. They might turn over a stone that makes their boss mad.
Right.
They might uncover that their boss's team of investigators did something wrong.
Correct.
All right. So you don't think they're giving a 100% effort whenever they're...
I don't.
All right. I've seen them do it before. We had one. We're going to talk about it later today. Kyle Hooper, where he had one and he hired me. And we were turning over stones, bringing stuff up. And guess what happened to him?
Oh, he still got convicted.
He got convicted, but the lawyer that I was working with got taken off the case.
Oh, imagine
what do you think of that? Because they weren't going to get their conviction or their plea deal or whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
I just don't think people want the docket full. And remember, DAs are elected officials in most places.
I think we have a very flawed justice system.
Right. DAs are public officials or elected officials.
Yep.
And they got to get votes, man.
Got to have them numbers to get them votes. So.
Convictions make them look good when they come every 4 years.
Yeah.
Or every 6 years, depending on where you are.
The bigger the case, the bigger the conviction, the better they look for their constituents.
Murder, big time drugs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the public, I almost said pretender juice.
I know, that's me. That's not you. I'll say that.
Public defender program. I just know that if you get caught up in the system, you don't have the money for a lawyer, you're going to get a public defender.
Right.
And the first thing they're going to try to do is get you to have a plea deal.
Oh, yeah. They're going to get you because that takes less amount of time and less work.
Makes their boss happy.
Yep. Makes his numbers look good.
Just know that your lawyer is working for the opposition.
Yeah.
They are. They'll say they're not. They'll say they're independent and all this stuff.
Yeah,
but
well, whatever.
Deep down inside, they know who's writing that annual review for pay raises and promotions and all those things.
Recommendations for all kind of stuff.
Yeah. Later on down the road, whenever they're lawyering out on their own, the senior lawyer might help them out a little bit.
Yep.
Because lawyers scratch each other's backs big time.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What other thoughts you got on public pretenders? I told you.
I don't like the way they do business.
You don't like it?
No, because when I was policing, whether I knew you or not, I was going to do my job fair and impartial. If you screwed up, you screwed up. If I arrested you, I arrested you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play it the same way. So for me, I don't put much faith in public pretenders.
Public pretenders. We're gonna get arrested for saying that.
No, you won't.
We'll get
First Amendment right.
We'll get some. Hey, go get those guys and pick them up on something stupid.
That's all right. That's so simple. I can have my daughter defend us, and she's not an attorney.
Well, we get our mugshot in the website, though.
That'd be cool.
That's street cred? Is that what you're calling it?
Word.
Okay. Street cred. Free Anthony. Free Juice.
Yeah.
Free Juice and Macky.
Yeah, I'll be the next one, like Sonny Barger.
Free Juice. Sonny Barger.
Yeah.
Where's your little hat today?
This is my dad's hat. This is one of Dad's hats.
The Marines hat?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got my trusty Carhartt on today.
Yeah.
So can't beat Carhartt.
No.
This is the only piece of Carhartt attire I have.
That's all right. The only Marine Corps stuff I have is what my dad's was.
I got a few Marine shirts around. I got an Alabama one. It's from Alabama and Marines.
Is that for washing your truck? Or
no, what?
What?
That thing is so old, like it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But I still wear it.
I said roll tide, didn't I? Sounded like I said that anyway.
I rode Tad. But all right. Well, that's the second part of this. I'm not gonna what do we call it? Beating the dead horse?
Or a public pretender?
We're not gonna beat up on the lawyers much more.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna close it out. We'll be back here in a little bit with a new episode. Talk to you soon. Say bye, Juice.
Bye, Juice.
Oh.